What is your name and your Hebrew name?
My name is Len Zimmerman, and my Hebrew name is Aryalev Ben Yitzhak.
Okay. Were you named after anyone?
I was named after my grandfather on my mother's side. His name was Avram. And that's how I got the Arya.
Okay. Where do you live now?
I live on Greenway Drive in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Were you raised Jewish?
I was raised Jewish. I was raised in Brooklyn, New York, and it may be hard for you to believe this even, but where I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, almost everybody was Jewish. Block after block, house after house, everybody was Jewish. I lived on a street called 74th Street, and you had to go all the way over to 63rd Street before you found somebody that wasn't Jewish. And in 63rd Street, everybody was Italian from there down.
Okay. Tell me about your parents and grandparents.
Well, my father was a doctor. He came to the United States from the Ukraine when he was 11 years old, and he graduated from medical school when he was 26 years old. And unfortunately, he passed away when he was 41 years old. My mother, your great-grandmother, came from Lithuania when she was 2 years old. And she lived in Altoona for some of her life, and she lived in Florida, and she lived in Tennessee, and she passed away when she was 89 years old.
Okay. So you have pictures and stuff, and maybe you could share them?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know if you can get a good picture of some of these papers.
Well, she's gonna scan it and stuff.
Okay. Well, here, when my grandfather, that would be your great-great-great-grandfather, came to this country, he came from Russia, and he had to get permission from the authorities. And this paper is not the paper that he came with, but his papers were in Russian, and my cousin had a friend that could translate the Russian into English, and this is the translation. And this was his passport for traveling, and it was issued to Mashka Zimmerman, 36 years of age, of the lower middle class, of Derazin Place, of the Lytyshevsk district of Podolsk. And it was issued May 18th, 1910, in the town of Kamenets-Podolsk. And this was a passport for his wife, Kaya Lebova Zimmerman, 35 years of age, of the lower middle class. And she was accompanied by her children, Itzhak, who is my father, and his sister, Soisha, who knew her as Sophie. My father was 12, it says. I thought he was only 11. He was 12, and Soisha was 9. And they came here, and then my Uncle Eddie, who is the only survivor of their family, is 90 years old, and he's still alive. And he was born in this country. And my grandfather didn't have to serve in the military, which was tough because they used to grab all the Jews they could to serve in the military, but he had something wrong. I don't know what it was. We were trying to find out. But Mr. Zimmerman, this is Cyrillic. The Cyrillic alphabet has a TS in it. Of the lower middle class of Derazin Place, presented himself for military service in accordance with the 1898 draft number drawing. Mr. Zimmerman was found to be permanently inadmissible for active military service based on his medical condition depicted in Article 36. My cousin and I have absolutely no idea what Article 36 is, and we'd like to know, because I remember him as a fairly healthy man. And those are our papers that they from Russia. And there's somebody in our family that made our family tree. This is on my father's side, from Hannestrop, Russia, where that would be somebody named Len Zimmerman, who I think we have a picture of here. And his wife was Susha from Politsky Kabernov, Russia. And then it goes on, and if you look, you'll find me. And I don't think we ever got to you, Ginger, on this thing. It stopped at Alyssa and Joshua. So we need some more lines out here for more offsprings.
Okay, so pictures. The pictures.
This picture, in 1950, the Jewish Community Center was opened. And we had a team of Jewish boys, and we called ourselves the Altoona AZA, number 352. This was Mr. Koch, K-O-C-H, and I cannot remember his first name. And this was Mr. Alper, and they called him Poke, so that was his name, I guess, Poke Alper. And this was Edgar Monarch, and this was me, and this was Jerry Fishkin, and this is Louis Silverman. I don't know who this is. This guy was Abby Levy, and he lived in Tyrone. He and Morris Levine were among the very few Jews that lived in Tyrone. This is Ronnie Eisenberg, and he went to high school in Altoona, but his family was actually from Housedale. And this is Don DeVorce, and he's still in Altoona. And this guy, his last name is Small. And this is a picture I was telling you about my grandfather from Podolska, my grandmother. That's my grandmother. And that's my grandfather. And
Okay.
And my father is there, and that's his sister, Sophie. And this man here is probably the grandfather, but I never met him, and I don't know for sure. And the other side is my mother, and this is my mother, and that's her father, who I was named after, and her mother. And these people are great grandparents of yours.
Wow.